Good morning. It is 9:03 a.m. We will go ahead and call this meeting to order. Chair Thigpen for the record. Please join me in the, oh wait, no, I'm out of order. Roll call. Teresa.
Chair Thigpen.
I might not be all there, but I'm here.
Member Dr. Aldaba.
Here.
Member Dr. Holmes Sutton.
Present.
Member Richards.
Present.
Member Salcido. Member Shante Rosales.
Present.
Member Stern.
Present.
Member Whitaker.
Present.
Student Representative Ayala.
Present.
Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. We're going to move on to the first period of public comment. Just a reminder for those who may not have been through this before, this first period is for anything that is on the agenda today. So we'll call your name, you'll come up here, press the little button, and when this green thing is lit up, then you are live. Looks like we have some public comment already from the boardroom. I think this is, if I'm reading the handwriting correctly, Miss Julie Carver. Did I get it right? And you will, and you'll have 3 minutes timed. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Julie Carver, Executive Director, Southern Nevada Trades High School. Thank you so much this morning. As my time at SNTHS comes to a close, I want to first thank you for your collaboration and partnership. I have found the staff very accessible and helpful in so many ways these past 4 years, and I'm truly appreciative. However, this is not the case with the epicenter tasks, where I feel we are held to an unreasonable standard and like no grace is given. It feels punitive. The multitude of tasks and the volume at which they are loaded is overwhelming. I think a few small changes would go a long way to ease the burden and make the school staff feel less resentful. Number one, tasks that require board approval should be flagged so that when school staff are slogging through the tasks, these rise to the top and may be added to the agenda in a timely fashion. Even adding needs board approval to the title would be immensely helpful. Second, tasks that are turned in on time and rejected should be accepted as on time and a new deadline given for resubmission. If resubmitted on time, there would be no negative rating for the task. We're currently kind of double dinged on tasks that are turned in on time and then kicked back. They're incorrect and late instead of one or the other, where I feel like they should be neither if we're adults and we're doing our best to turn them in. So none of us are perfect, schools or staff, and not all tasks are clearly written, to be honest. And I think that a little grace could go a long way in this situation, but I'm very appreciative, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Apologies on keeping time as well. So next person is Miss Jessica Scott.
Okay, I've never done this before, so bear with me. I am an 8th grade ELA teacher at Nevada Prep. I'm currently also an admin intern because I want to, for some reason, go into the lovely world of admin. I know that's wild, but I was also at Teach Las Vegas when all of that happened. I have, at the time, 4 of my children were at Teach Las Vegas. When that closed down, I was actually part of the teachers that left. We all know what happened, but my 4 children were devastated. They were crying for weeks. They were uprooted. I ended up homeschooling them for the rest of the year. My twins are sitting over there right now. They felt like they lost their home, and that was hard for them. So I found Nevada Prep. I felt like I found another family because Teach felt like a family to us. No charter school is perfect, especially if we don't have a CMO, and I know that. And I know there's a lot of bureaucracy that goes on. But for me, it's always been about the kids, always, because I have my own children there and I know what it's like. And I have students that tell me that they don't like being at home at all. And I know they have horrible home circumstances, and I know that, and they tell me that. But they love coming to school. I have students that tell me that they come to school just so they can come say hi to me, or just so they can come, I don't know, grab a blow pop from me because that's their favorite thing to do. I also, not only with that, but academically, I had the highest growth on the SBAC at that school. And the kids have no idea they're learning because they're having fun. And that's the way it should be. But I don't think that they should have to lose a school because of bureaucracy, red tape. I get it. They don't. But we also took in kids from other schools, and I can tell you that they're very low. And it's been a struggle with behaviors and academics alone to try to get them up to where they're at. But we're trying, and we sometimes get penalized for that because then our SBAC scores and our MAP scores or iReady or whatever we're doing are not where they should be. But I'm trying, and I know we are all trying so hard, and I know that my kids don't want to lose their school. I currently have an 8th grader there right now too. My daughter's a sophomore in high school, but I know my daughter was going to speak, but she got scared. But yeah, we want to stay. I want to keep their family together. I really do. So yeah, that's what I was going to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next person for public comment, and I apologize if I read the handwriting wrong, Mr. Freddie, is it Rosen? Rawson, thank you. My eyesight's not the best either. Welcome.
Good day. My name is Fred Ross. I'm the site director at Nevada Prep Charter Schools. And thank you guys for giving me this opportunity. So if you were to look at our compliance over the past 30 days, you'll see the completion rate dramatically improved. The school has replaced some personnel that we felt were lacking in their ability to complete the task that was given to us. You are aware we have grown close to 100 students from last school year. However, we are being funded based on 384 for the first 3 months. Our financial situation will dramatically improve in the next few months. I would hope that this body will revisit the financial framework in a few months, since this body has always put Nevada Prep on an interesting time frame for your request. I would hope that if asked in a few months, you would re-examine our financial framework. This isn't about anyone except 472 families and students that happen to love Nevada Prep. We will see if students are the top priority in a few months when you are asked to revisit our framework. If this body doesn't look at our framework in 3 months, that will answer the question. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment in the boardroom? Okay. I know we received some written public comments. I don't know that we need to, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, we have 2 received public comments written, one from Jennifer Weinstein of Nevada Prep and one from Ignacio Prado of Futuro. These comments will be available online for review with the meeting materials. Thank you.
Thank you. And is there any public comment online?
Thank you, Chair. To provide public comment, please press star 9 on your phone now to be placed in the queue. Caller, please proceed.
Good morning. My name is Ignacio Prado. I'm the Executive Director for Tour Academy Charter School. I did provide written comment because I wasn't sure if I could make it. And we are a 4-star rated school in the east side of Las Vegas, averaging more than double the index points of our neighboring district schools. I'm also the Vice Chair of the Charter School Association of Nevada, which represents all 68,000 students in our portfolio. And I just want to give you some context about compliance over time. Despite constant feedback from schools and leaders about the compliance overload, the SPCSA has consciously drifted forcefully in the direction of more arbitrary compliance demand. Board minutes are returned due to subjective opinion about summary quality, handbooks rejected and forced for resubmission and reapproval by boards by not having preferred URL links. Items now have extensive checklists with rationales like best practices for insertion of new requirements, submissions not required by statute, law, or any kind of rule. For our organization, the rejection rate for the average of the 200 to 215 annual reporting requirements has risen in the span of 3 years from 4% to 38% in our prior year, with no appreciable impact on student learning, well-being, or any particular objectives, certainly not following the law. Specific to the OPF, which you'll approve today, it is a prime example of this trend. It is by far the hardest framework to succeed at in terms of overall compliance in the last decade. Being rated as not meeting in any one of 9 indicators results in an overall out of compliance rating that is not remediable. I personally participated in the West Ed listening sessions that the staff will represent as helping form this framework, but I would state that the overwhelming sentiment was that compliance is ever growing and difficult to keep up with. As you can see, it appears the direction of the SPCSA appears to prefer its own stricter and more robust interpretation of how compliance should look, despite the feedback. A call to action for you is that every single day I, as a school leader, accept responsibility for things outside of my own personal control that are difficult, and so does our team. We largely succeeded in challenging a narrative that our children could not succeed despite their home language, social status, and location in our city. So I cannot, and you should not accept that the SPCSA cannot take responsibility for compliance and how their choices and interpretations have made it more burdensome or punitive. I suggest 2 things. 1, do not blanketly accept that the SPCSA staff representations that compliance has to be a particular way as a result of a new legal requirement is patently not true. The information I provided you today regarding examples and statistics should make you wonder how it's possible that mathematically, it is now 10 times harder for an organization to meet item submission requirements in the span of a few years, with your own knowledge probably being that there's been no meaningful reform around compliance. A reasonable person, which is should be your standard, would infer that this is worth investigating and taking seriously and not just unskeptically accepting staff representations. Number 2, in preparation for my public comment today, I did reach out to several leaders and organizations that expressed similar sentiments. However, some representatives...
That's time, Mr. Prado. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time today.
Any other public comment online?
Yes, sir. We have 2 additional callers. Caller, you are unmuted. Please proceed.
Hello, my name is Veronica Pizarro Ramirez. I am currently a 7th grade math teacher at Nevada Prep. I just wanted to come in and chime in on this, let you guys know, with everything, the bureaucracy, everything that you guys are requiring as a charter authority for Nevada Prep, our financial issues, our admin issues, or anything, everybody is going to have them anywhere you go. The big thing and the big picture that I think you guys need to really concentrate on are these children, are these families that continuously get displaced from school to school to school to school. Their scores show it. We are trying our hardest to teach these children, to love these children, and to show them what their future can be. But we can't do that if your continuous requirements pressure us to close down schools. These children are getting displaced, and they're starting to become, unfortunately, they're starting to get used to it. They're getting to the point where they can move around and not really care about their education. And you guys have to remember, these children are our future. Their future is online right here. Your decisions, your rules and regulations disrupt our classrooms. They disrupt their lives. They need to be able to be at one place and know that that's their home. Our students there have found a family. The students that were displaced from Teach have found a family all over again. The students that were displaced at other schools have found another family again. You're going to possibly close down another school and then displace them all over again. So I just please beg, remember the families and the children are what matters here. And that's all I need to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Caller, please press star 6 to unmute. And you're muted. Please proceed.
Yes. Can you please hear? Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Hello?
can. Please proceed.
Okay. Good morning, Charter Authority. My name is Jenny Weinstein, and I am a teacher here at Prep. I've sent you an extensive letter. I'm not going to go through everything. I know you're familiar with Mr. Hainel's track record, and one of the things I can say, due to his proven track record, which appears in my letter, he was entrusted with a similar leadership role at Nevada Charter Prep, where he brings his expertise and vision for new educational opportunities. As everyone has said, schools like ours are being shut down despite the vital role we play in serving students from low-income families. Our students rely on our services, support, and the opportunities we need. We provide more than ever. Please consider what this letter says and carefully consider the future of Nevada Prep. Let me express how deeply valued our staff and school community is to people. Our school is not just a place of learning, it is a close-knit community that feels like family. The supportive environment we foster has made it a place where students and staff genuinely love to be every day. I would like to express the deep concern regarding the potential possibility of issuance of a breach at this meeting. I want to acknowledge I am not here to discuss finances with you, as that's not my area of expertise. My purpose is to highlight what our families and students will lose if MV Charter Prep is no longer an option for them. I ask you to pause and consider the meaningful, enriching programming we offer and what it would mean for our students to lose access. And I am going to cite several things. You're not just closing down a school because of money. You're going to affect many students that participate in our club program on Fridays. We have a quarter of the students that participate. We have STEM activities that we brought in. We have partnerships now with UNLV. We partnered with them and they brought robots into our classroom that can be used for math applications with the upper elementary. We had Dr. Steffens from the astronomy lab at UNLV. He came and did a lecture series for us on the planet, space, and space travel. Through the DRI, we have our Books and Bots program now, and that's hands-on learning directly at the school. We had Momavi, MaxCom, and Tech Trekker, just to name a few. We also pride ourselves on our special events. Truck or Treat, we did our first open house and formed a partnership for the Southern Nevada Health District, and that was our health and wellness fair, which brought vendors and resources to our families they didn't know about in the community. We offer dances, and the list goes on. We also have the Thriving Club program, and we've had over the past year cooking, animate, Chinese, STEM, crochet, soccer, volleyball, Spanish, girls empowerment, and many other things. And we've also established a partnership with. Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other public comment online?
There are no additional callers at this time.
Thank you very much. All right, we will close out public comment, which is agenda item number 2, and open agenda item number 3, the approval of the consent agenda. Looking for a motion.
Member Holmes Sutton, I would motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Board Member Aldaba, I second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you. Before I forget, for my board colleagues online, looks like I can see on the screen now, but be sure to use the raise hand feature on Zoom. It will bring you up on the screen if you have questions as we deliberate throughout the meeting. All right, moving right along, we have agenda item number 4, the SPCSA Charter School Governing Body Governance Standards. And today it will be with member Dr. Aldaba.
Thank you. Good morning. In times of uncertainty, adopting a reflective approach to understanding one's role and potential positive impact within the school system, highlighting a commitment to collective well-being and mutual support can lead to successful and favorable outcomes. Today, I will address governance standard number 6, operate in service of your school community, which addresses the following points and my reflective thoughts for each. Number 1, ensure that the school's board meetings and its members are accessible to the school community, including parents, teachers, and students. The goal here is to foster open communication, promote inclusivity, and ensure all community members feel informed and heard regarding school leadership decisions. Number 2, develop and consider school policies and critical decisions transparently and in collaboration with the school community. Transparent decision-making can foster trust, increase buy-in, and ensure policies reflect the diverse perspectives and needs of the school community. This approach can lead to more effective and equitable policy development, ultimately supporting a more inclusive and responsive educational environment. Number 3, establish effective communication systems and proactively seek robust input and feedback from the school community. It can entail exploring methods to create transparent, inclusive communication systems that encourage active participation from all school community members, emphasizing the importance of creating safe, respectful environments where diverse viewpoints can be shared constructively, while identifying potential barriers to effective communication and brainstorming proactive solutions to enhance engagement and trust within the school ecosystem. Number 4, collaborate with stakeholders to address concerns and challenges. Identifying key organizational stakeholders and developing a strategic communication plan to address potential interpersonal and systematic challenges. By collaborating with stakeholders, a discussion focusing on collaborative approaches involving active listening, transparent dialogue, and mutual problem-solving techniques to effectively navigate complex workplace dynamics can lead to consensus, manage potential conflicts, and create shared understanding among team members. Enhancing interpersonal skills and systematic thinking to promote constructive stakeholder interactions. And lastly, seek to achieve and maintain board members and school staff that are representatives of the school. This is going to entail understanding of diversity and inclusion principles of organizational leadership that can cultivate a board and staff composition that reflects the broader community's demographic characteristics, ensuring representation across various dimensions such as race, ethnicity, gender, age, socioeconomic background, and professional expertise. The goal is to create an inclusive environment that values multiple perspectives and experiences, potentially enhancing decision-making processes and organizational effectiveness. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Oldava. All right, moving right along to agenda item number 5, the SPCSA Executive Director's Report. Over to you, Director McAdin.
All right. Good morning, Melissa McAdam. For the record, this is a really short update this month. I would like to highlight schools in the SPCSA portfolio who made 3-star gains on the NSPF this year. We're going to talk more about that in a few months, but did want to give them a shout out today. Civica Academy Elementary and Middle School, Legacy Traditional North Valleys Elementary School, Quest Academy Elementary School, Matter Academy Bonanza Elementary School, and Somerset Academy Losee Elementary School. The Nevada Department of Education included this accomplishment in its September 15th, 2025 star rating press release, and we're really proud of those schools for their efforts. In the written report is the delinquent PERS update, nothing specific to share there. And then in regards to the new schools update, the SPCSA will officially kick off pre-opening work with Somerset Academy Carson City, Citizens of the World, and Wildflower in November. The schools have received a copy of the pre-opening checklist as well as the training schedule, which was also included in your board packet. And that's all I've got for you today, unless there's any questions.
Any questions from board colleagues? Seeing none, thank you very much. Moving on to agenda item number 6, SPCSA board election to nominate a board vice chair, and Director McAdin, you're on this agenda item.
All right, thank you, Melissa McAdin, again for the record. For those of you who don't know, our our friend and colleague, member, I was going to say Aldaba, member Haddad Bennett, got a really great job at Opportunity 180, which is awesome because she's still going to be working in our sector and supporting our school. And we're really happy for her. But that position did conflict her out of serving on this board, and she was our vice chair. So for those reasons, we do have to nominate a vice chair. It's very simple, just looking for someone to nominate someone, get a second, and then Chair Thigpen will call the vote.
Thank you, Director McAdam. Do I have any nominations from anyone in the boardroom
This is, oh, my apologies.
or online too? That's fine. Sorry. Go ahead.
This is Member Holmes Sutton. I wanted to nominate Member Whitaker as vice chair, if I may.
Thank you, Member Holmes Sutton. Do I have a second?
Board Member Aldaba, second.
Okay. We'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor of approving Member Whitaker's nomination to vice chair, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. All right, motion passes unanimously. Welcome, Vice Chair Whitaker.
Thank you, everyone. I'm looking forward to serving as vice chair.
All right, thank you very much. We will close out agenda item number 6. I'm going to open up agenda item number 7, charter school renewal process training. Over to you, Dr. Broughton.
Thank you. And is the PowerPoint on the screen? Okay, great. All right, thank you, Chair Thigpen and members of the SPCSA board. As we head into renewal season in November and December, I'm going to go over a little bit about what that process looks like, what it entails for you today, just to give you some information and answer any questions you may have. So we have 2 goals today. First is for you to understand the multi-step process of charter renewal, and then to understand what information and data SPCSA staff will use when we bring to you renewal recommendations in November and December. On the left side of this slide is the charter school life cycle. We'll get into that a little bit more specifically in the next slide. And then on the right side are the schools who are up for renewal. These schools' charter contracts end June 30th, 2026. And so they are applying for renewal and a new contract that would begin July 1st, 2026. So on that list of 11 schools are schools that are in their initial charter contract, as well as schools who are already on a renewed charter contract. I'm going to talk a little bit about the charter school life cycle, but what I'm going to talk about is specific to schools on an initial contract. It's a little different if they're on a renewed contract. But we grant initial charter contracts for 6 years. So when a school applies to open, if we say, yes, you can open, they get a 6-year contract. The renewal applications are due in the fall of year 6 to ensure continuity of program in school. So they apply for renewal just under a year, with just under a year left of their contract. During the other years, there is ongoing charter SPCSA, state, NDE, and federal compliance measures that are measured throughout the whole charter contract. There's continuous support from the SPCSA's school support team, oversight from the authorizing team, and then site evaluations are required in years 1, 3, and 5. There can be additional site evaluations should other data indicate they are needed. Once a school applies for renewal, a renewed charter contract is different from an initial charter contract in that it can be from 3 years to 10 years. So it's not just that standard 6. There are some options that exist for those renewed charter contracts in terms of length. There is some key renewal timeline information, and we review all of this information with the schools in the spring in year 5 or the penultimate year of the charter contract. Before June 30th, the SPCSA issues a performance report to the schools. This performance report includes academic, financial, organizational performance, and includes site evaluations. By September 1st, the schools are required to submit a letter of intent that indicates they intend to apply for renewal. And then the application for the renewal is submitted between October 1st and October 15th. The SPCSA has 60 days to review that application and bring it before this body. So that decision has to be made by no later than December 15th unless both parties agree to a later date. We bring forth renewal recommendations to you, though you are the ultimate decision maker in how long a charter contract, if a charter contract is renewed, and what the length of the renewal is. I will also note that this year, because we have 11 schools up for renewal, we plan to split them up a bit and do about half in November and half in December, because 11 is a lot in one meeting. We collect and look at various data when we're making a renewal recommendation. So in academic performance, we look at NSPF ratings, index scores, and then we also look at the SPCSA academic framework. Related to organizational performance, we look at compliance reporting in the SPCSA organizational framework, which you're going to hear a little bit more about later today. We look at financial performance based on the SPCSA financial framework. We consider site evaluation findings. Any site evaluation that is, or any school that's issued a deficiency in the site evaluation is particularly impactful. And then some schools provide additional information that we sometimes consider as well. That can include, map data or other informal assessment data, climate surveys, etc. As I mentioned, unlike the initial charter contract, which has to be 6 years, a renewed contract can be anywhere from 3 to 10 years. And so generally, if a school is inconsistently meeting performance expectations, and again, that's across academics, financials, and organizational, we will make a recommendation in the 3 to 5 year range. If a school is consistently meeting performance expectations, again, across all three of those frameworks, then they're going to be right around that 6 year range. And for schools who are exceeding performance expectations, we would go up to the 7 to 10 year range. We do tell schools ahead of time, like before the information goes public, what our recommendation is in terms of if we're going to renew and the potential term length we're recommending for renewal. And that is really the end of my presentation. Should anyone have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, Dr. Broughton. Any questions from board colleagues in the boardroom? Any questions from board colleagues online? Oh, sorry, I didn't see your hand. Go ahead.
Sorry, Member Shanti Rosales, for the record. Just a quick question. I know you just stated the 3 to 5, the 6, and I'm looking at this PowerPoint slide. Is it possible, and this is just a curiosity question, to do less than the 3?
No, it is not. 3 is the minimum.
So 3 would be the minimum. Okay, thank you.
Otherwise, you'd end up having a school applying for renewal essentially right after they were renewed. So,
yeah, thank you. I just wanted to make sure, because it looks like with the descriptions that you put in the slide, the 3 to 5 years would be given ideally for us just as a guide if they're inconsistently meeting performance expectations. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Member Shanti Rosales. Any other questions within the boardroom? Any questions from board colleagues online? Oh, I see your hand up, Dr. Holmes-Sutton. Go ahead.
Member Holmes-Sutton, thank you. I wanted to ask on how that communication is delivered to school leadership, if that is written communication and or if they have an opportunity to engage with you either virtually or in person.
Katie Broughton for the record. So in the spring, we do a virtual meeting with schools and we ask for a member of the leadership team and a member of the board to attend to go over what the renewal process looks like, what the expectations are. We are available to answer any questions they have throughout the renewal phase. And then toward around like the week that we'll post the renewal recommendations, we'll reach out to the schools and ask essentially what their preference is, if they want to meet or, hear our recommendation via email. So we leave them that choice.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Any other questions from board colleagues online? Go ahead, Member Stern.
Member Stern, for the record, just quick clarification. I see the list of information and data used to make the renewal recommendation. Are they equally weighted in the recommendation, or can you just speak to how the data might be calculated to make those?
Yeah, we look really at the academics a little bit more. They carry a little bit more weight, and there's actually a provision in the Nevada Administrative Code that with each subsequent renewal, the academic performance should weigh more heavy on the decision.
All good, Member Stern?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Broughton. And this is an agenda item with no actions. So we appreciate the information, and we will move things right along. Okay, agenda item number 8, the 2024-2025 Organizational Performance Framework results. And this goes over to Danny.
Thank you, Chair Thigpen. For the record, Danny Peltier. I will go ahead and share my PowerPoint presentation. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, so today we are going to be presenting the 2024-25 Organizational Performance Framework results and an overview of the framework. So today we're going to briefly reiterate the goals of the Organizational Performance Framework and present results for the 24-25 framework ratings. And there will be a recommendation at the end of this presentation regarding the acceptance and approval of those ratings by the board. The Organizational Performance Framework fulfills the requirements of NRS 388A.273, which means it lays out the organizational performance indicators that are part of the overall performance framework for charter schools. At the same time, it is designed to preserve school autonomy, allowing schools, each school to have some flexibility to stay true to its own mission, vision, and educational program. And finally, it ensures that schools are meeting all of their legal and ethical obligations, which are essential for maintaining public trust and compliance. So for the 24-25 ratings, we based most of our findings on the compliance checklist. The standards of each of the categories were either meet standard, approaches standard, or does not meet standard. As you can see, each rating is based on a threshold of success that schools are expected to meet. I would also note there has been a little confusion around accuracy of reporting and timeliness. This year for the 24-25 Organizational Performance Framework, we based it solely on timeliness. If schools submitted something on time and that document was sent back for correction and then was turned in after the due date, which may have shown a late submission, we filtered those out and ensured that we used the initial submission to capture the timeliness of the submissions so that schools were not penalized for having to correct documents that were in past the deadline. So all reports that were considered for this 24-25 Organizational Performance Framework rating were based upon the initial submission and whether that was on time or not. Let's see here. So this slide shows each of the categories that lead to the overall rating. Each charter holder was rated on each of the categories and subcategories, except CMO, EMO, which is only applicable to schools who contract with a CMO or EMO. So the charter contract, you can see up there, did the school meet the standard of their charter contract, which is laid out? Was there any violations of the charter contract itself? I'm happy to report that no schools were in violation of their charter contract in the 24-25 school year. Governance, Did the schools meet open meeting law requirements? Did they hold meetings at least quarterly? Did they provide the SPCSA with board meeting agendas and approved minutes? Did they submit to the SPCSA board disclosure forms within 10 days of charter of board members being appointed, or at least annually? Then you can see here for the federal, state statute, administrative code, and regulation, that breaks out into the education personnel, staffing, language and culture, which is kind of ELL services, special education, health and safety, education requirements, and then the CMO and EMO. And then that leads us to an overall rating of in compliance, partial compliance, or out of compliance. So the overall framework rating, in compliance, all requirements in the checklist are meet standards or meet standard by assurances. Partially compliant, one or more of those subcategories were rated as approaches the standard. Out of compliance, one or more of the requirements as part of those categories were rated as does not meet standard. So for the 24-25 performance ratings for the organizational performance framework, schools received one of three ratings: the meets, approaches, or does not meet. Schools received one of the three overall ratings: compliance, partially compliant, or out of compliance. And schools which did not, or which received a does not meet standard in three or more of the categories may be subject to a notice of concern. So while there are schools who were out of compliance, that was typically only in the operations section where they failed to submit documents to Epicenter, 80% or more on time. If that was the only one of the issues that they had, they may be found as out of compliance, but we are not recommending a notice of concern. So here are the overall findings, and the full breakout of each of the schools' ratings can be found as an attachment as part of this item. 18 of our 42 charter schools received an overall rating of in compliance, meaning they had meet standard in all the categories. 13 out of the 42 charter holders received an overall rating of partially compliant, meaning they had meet standards or approaches standards in the categories. 11 of the 42 charter holders received an overall rating of out of compliance, meaning they have at least one does not meet standard in any one of the categories. And then 3 of the 42 charter holders had 3 or more ratings of does not meet standard, in which we will be recommending a notice of concern to those 3 schools. Some of the insight into what we found for the 24-25 school year. SPCSA found that the majority of compliance issues were in the governance and the operations categories. So what we're seeing is schools are still, I really want to be clear that we did our best to work with schools throughout the year to increase compliance outcomes. During the legislative session, there was concerns regarding charter school board governance. We are taking a closer lens on that in the 25-26. For this year, a lot of the quality indicators that have been mentioned before, those were informational only and allows schools to kind of get a better understanding of what we're going to be looking at closely during the 25-26 school year. Other issues were schools posting on time for board meeting agendas, holding the meeting in the event that they didn't post it on time. That is noted. So we're trying to keep an eye on that, because good governance is one of the first indicators to the public that these schools are doing well. And so we want to make sure that schools are continuing to comply with open meeting law compliance and all the fun stuff that come with being a public body. Operations, again, like I mentioned before, this was a timeliness matter. We filtered out everything we could that was submitted on time but had to be corrected. So anything that is included as part of the statistics for schools who have below 80% in their submissions, those were strictly documents that were submitted past the due date. And yes, there are a lot of reports during any given school year. And yes, we understand that, and we try to give grace where we can, but many of these items are statutorily based. And as an authorizer, we have to compile many of these reports and submit to other entities such as LCB, the Nevada Department of Education. And when schools are late, that causes us to be late, and it creates a snowball effect, which reflects poorly on the entire portfolio of charter schools in Nevada. So looking ahead, we're going to continue to work with schools to hopefully increase their timeliness and increase that percentage. We do have documentation on our website, which does show what reports do need to be board approved. But we will look into adding, maybe flagging within the epicenter tasks themselves in the instructions in bold letters, like this has to be board approved, and maybe adjusting notifications so those go out earlier so that they can fit into schools' board meeting calendars. One thing that we have recommended to schools is like what our board does with the SPCSA. We have a long range calendar so that our board is always constantly looking ahead to see what's coming up. And it's one of the things that we're recommending for schools to have on their agendas. We're not requiring it. It's not something that's going to be rejected if it's not on there. But we are looking for schools to kind of have a more forward-looking view so that they can be proactive on placing things on agendas based on those statutory deadlines throughout any given school year. And like I said before, we are taking a more proactive approach in monitoring charter school governance. I've been with the SPCSA since its creation. I was with NDE before that, beginning in 2009. One of the weakest areas that we've seen over the years is once charter school is up and operating, that board becomes disengaged and it becomes overly reliant on school leaders to keep the trains running, right? And the board kind of just becomes there to approve in an open meeting law setting, but not really that engagement piece. And over the last couple of years, as we've staffed up here, we're taking a much more proactive approach in overseeing our charter school boards to ensure that they are meeting their end of the bargain, because ultimately it's the SPCSA that holds our board holds the contract with that charter schools board. And so that engagement is critical to the successes of those charter schools. And we are making taking a closer look at that. Because we think it's important that those schools boards are holding up their end of the bargain. So as you can see on the screen here, I have a proposed motion for the board today, and that is to accept the 24-25 organizational performance framework. Prior to doing that, I'd be happy to take any questions that the board may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Peltier. Do you have any questions, comments from board colleagues here in the boardroom? Go ahead, Member Richards.
Member Richards, for the record, I don't have a question, just a comment. I appreciate the focus on the compliance piece more so this year as well as we continue, because as a board, it's important that schools are in compliance, but schools also. So appreciate that work.
Thank you, Member Richards. Any other questions, comments from any online from board colleagues? I'll make a brief comment to say that I appreciate the comment you made, Mr. Peltier, about the board's commitment at our schools. I think it is something in my time on this board in the last 3+ years that anytime things have gotten a little dicey with some schools, there has been what I've noticed a commonality with the school boards not being as engaged as they should be and relying too much on the word of staff. So I would encourage our schools that are listening to ensure you have an engaged board that is critical, asking questions, continuing to learn and absorb information to make their schools better, and to recruit board members who will be and remain actively involved in the future of the school. So thank you. All right. Seeing no questions or anything from other board colleagues, there is a motion recommended by staff. Well, it's not on the screen anymore, but it's online as well. I'm looking for a motion.
Member Shanti Rosales can make the motion.
Go ahead.
My motion is to accept the 2024-2025 organizational framework results as presented and delegate to SPCSA staff the authority to provide final results to governing boards of each charter holder in the coming weeks.
Do I have a second?
Member
Holmes. Oh, my apologies.
You're good.
I defer to Member Whitaker.
For Whitaker will second. Sorry.
Thank you, Vice Chair. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Oops, sorry. Any opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. All right, moving on to agenda item number 9, Equipo Academy is this Dr. Broughton?
No, Danny Peltier for the record. This is in continuation of the organizational performance framework. So I will go ahead and take that. So again, Danny Peltier for the record. Agenda item 9 is the SPCSA recommendation to issue Equipo Academy a notice of concern under the 24-25 organizational performance framework. Equipo was rated as does not meet standards in governance, education personnel, special education, health and safety, education requirements, and operations, and was therefore rated as out of compliance on the 24-25 organizational performance framework. I'll go over each of these categories and subcategories in which Equipo was rated as does not meet standard. In the governance category, Equipo failed to submit their board calendar for the 25-26 school year during the OPF rating period, and failed to submit board member disclosure forms within 10 days of appointment of those board members or as part of the annual collection the SPCSA conducts pursuant to NRS 388A.320. The school has also failed to provide evidence that the 23-24 OPF ratings and the SPCSA's compliance concerns were presented and discussed at an Equipo board meeting as approved by our board at the October 4th, 2024 board meeting. Equipo was rated as does not meet standard in the educational personnel category due to delinquency of PERS payments during the 24-25 school year. For the special education subcategory, Equipo failed to submit its special education policies and procedures manual for the 24-25 school year. Under the health and safety subcategory, Equipo failed to submit its annual school committee emergency operations plan for review for crisis and emergencies. Under the educational requirements subcategory, Equipo failed to submit their 24-25 parent and student handbook for review by SPCSA staff. In the operations category, which measures timeliness of submissions for the 24-25 school year, Equipo submitted 44% of tasks on time. Equipo was found to have submitted 44 of its submissions during the 44% on time. In addition to the late submissions that were submitted, Equipo failed to submit numerous critical documents during the 24-25 school year. Some of these documents included, but were not limited to, the Board and Policies and Procedures Manual, the annual website certification, the AB 285 Student Discipline and Progressive Discipline Data quarterly reports. Equipo was also found to be severely late in submissions of numerous reports, including but not limited to the English language policy, which was 150 days late, employee information for all staff, 225 days late after resubmission, and the NRS 387.12468 annual staffing and budget comparison report. That was 170 days late on initial submission. As such, SPCSA staff found Equipo to be out of compliance due to evidence of weak organizational performance through ongoing oversight and repeated material failure to submit items in a timely and/or complete manner. SPCSA staff provided Equipo with the preliminary findings on September 10th, 2025, and provided the opportunity to all schools to provide additional information to cure items by providing additional information and/or evidence. Equipo did not provide additional information to SPCSA staff during the cure period, and the SPCSA recommends the board issue Equipo a notice of concern. A proposed motion can be found on page 3 of your recommendation memo.
Thank you, Mr. Peltier. Any questions for staff from board colleagues in the boardroom? Any questions from board colleagues online? Oh, I can see Member Stern, and I apologize, I didn't catch your hand before. The screen here is a little bright where the hand is for you, unfortunately, so go ahead.
Member Stern, for the record. That's okay. You kind of addressed what I had wanted to address previously in terms of the timeliness and other things, but I did have a question, just a clarification for myself on this, because I know that we were speaking about the operations being a timeliness. And so if I'm understanding correctly, for all of the other ratings where it says they did not submit, am I to understand that these are still, and what you were talking about with the curing, that these are documents that we still have yet to receive from the school.
That is correct.
Okay. And that during the cure period, they were provided with an opportunity to provide these. These were for last year, and we still have not received those.
Any Phelps here for the record? That is correct. Yes.
Okay. And sorry, just organizing my thoughts. Nope, that's it for now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Member Stern. Any other questions from board colleagues online?
Board Member Aldava for the record. Danny, has the school communicated to you a plan of when they will be submitting these items? I mean, has there been communication back and forth in regards to especially when the preliminary findings email was sent on September 10th?
Danny Peltz here for the record. Thank you for that question. So I oversee 2 SPCSA staff members who do a really outstanding job of keeping in constant contact with our charter schools, Molly Burkhart and Kristen Wood. Now, we have not required a plan per se. We do keep in constant communication with schools who are missing various documents. Epicenter also sends weekly emails to the schools noting outstanding items. The schools are made aware of what is outstanding. And then as part of the organizational performance framework preliminary ratings letter that we send out, we do list documents that are there and do note that there is a cure period in which if they are able to submit those documents, we would take that into account, and maybe, it wouldn't go towards being able to solve the timeliness piece of the operations, but it may move different items, like for Equipo, for example, not submitting the special education manual at all, which is why they're rated as does not meet standard in the special education section. If they had been able to submit that or provide evidence of submission, we would have worked with the school and possibly increased the rating in that area if the manual was compliant. So we do work with the schools, but there's not been an official, plan per se or corrective action that is part of this, other than presenting the notice of concern and the ratings today.
Thank you.
Any other questions from board colleagues? Okay. Seeing none, there is a proposed motion that staff has provided in the attachments. Looking for a motion.
Member Whitaker will motion to approve the recommendation of SPCSA staff as stated herein to issue a notice of concern regarding their originalization performance of Equipo Academy for 2024-25 school year.
Thank you, Vice Chair Whitaker. Do we have a second?
Board Member Aldava, I second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Moving right along to agenda item number 10, Nevada Prep Charter School Performance Framework recommendations. Is this back to you, Danny?
It is back to me, Chair Thigpen, Danny Peltier for the record. There is 2 items here. I will be handling the organizational piece of it. Dr. Broughton will be handling the financial piece of it. But before I start that, I did want to mention one thing, going back to Agenda 8, if the board would permit. I'll take that silence as a yes, Chair.
Sorry, I was conferring with council. Yes, we can go back to that.
I just wanted to highlight one thing that I forgot to do, because we also, as part of our, when the board is reviewing the final ratings for all of our schools, there are 3 schools on our list there with stars and bolded: Civica and Matter Academy and Matter Academy of Northern Nevada. We do want to highlight those schools for as like our all stars of compliance this past year. Not only did they submit more than 95% of their documents on time. 95% of those documents were also accurate on initial submission. So the organizational framework, while it is compliance-based, we do want to highlight schools that are doing a good job. And so when you see those schools on the board meeting materials, those are, you know, the all-stars of the 24-25 school year. And I failed to mention that during my presentation. I just wanted to highlight that.
Thank you, Danny.
Okay, agenda item 10A is the SPCSA's recommendation to issue Nevada Prep a notice of concern under the 24-25 organizational performance framework. Nevada Prep was rated as does not meet standard in governance, educational personnel, and operation, and was therefore rated as out of compliance on the 24-25 performance framework. Nevada Prep was rated as does not meet standard due to numerous instances of failing to submit critical governance documents. The school failed to confirm completion of fingerprinting background checks for all board members pursuant to NRS 388A.323. Additionally, it did not submit the board member disclosure forms within 10 days of appointment, nor on an annual basis as required by NRS 388A.320. The school also failed to provide evidence of a public hearing regarding the 23-24 star rating pursuant to NRS 388A.367. The school failed to provide evidence of a public meeting regarding the 2023-24 organizational performance framework ratings and the SPCSA's compliance concerns as required by this board on October 4th, 2024. Nevada Prep was rated as does not meet standard in the educational personnel category due to delinquency of PERS payments during the 24-25 school year. In the operations category, which measures the timeliness, Nevada Prep submitted 52% of tasks on time. In addition to late submissions that were submitted, Nevada Prep failed to submit numerous critical documents during the 24-25 school year. Some of these documents included, but were not limited to, the Board Policies and Procedures Manual, the Annual Website Certification, the NRS 387.12468 Annual Staffing and Budget Comparison Report, and the Adjusted Trial Balance Sheet. Nevada Prep was also found to be severely late in submissions of reports, including the Parent and Student Handbook, 39 days late, its Emergency Operations Plan, 76 days late, English Language Policy, 22 days late, Capital Improvement Plan, 209 days late, Federal Single Audit Requirement, 135 days late, Fiscal Policies and Procedures, 204 days late, and the NRS 380, the Budget Comparison was 19 days late, and the Special Education Policies and Procedures Manual, 117 days late. As such, SPCSA staff has found Nevada Prep to be out of compliance due to evidence of weak organizational performance through ongoing oversight and repeated material failure to submit items in a timely and/or complete manner. SPCSA staff provided Nevada Prep with preliminary findings on September 10th and provided the opportunity to all schools to provide additional information to cure items by providing additional information and/or evidence. Nevada Prep did not provide additional information to the SPCSA staff during the cure period, and SPCSA recommends the issuance of a notice of concern. The proposed motion can be found on page 3 of the recommendation memo.
Thank you, Mr. Peltier. Do we have questions? And I believe there are people here from the school as well if we have questions for them. So board colleagues in the boardroom, do we have questions either for staff or for leaders from the school? Seeing none. Any board colleagues online? Okay. All right. Looking for a motion. Again, this is for 10A, just to make sure we're all clear. Any board colleagues online want to make the motion? Go ahead.
Sorry about that. Board Member Aldava, I would like to move forward with the motion to approve the recommendation of SPCSA staff as stated herein to issue a notice of concern regarding the organizational performance of Nevada Prep Charter School for the 2024-2025 school year.
Thank you, Dr. Aldaba. Do I have a second?
Member Richard,
Member
second.
Holmstead, second.
Oh, Member Holmes.
My apologies, Member
Richard beat you. Okay, thank you very much. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Go ahead with 10B. Is it Danny?
That's me.
I'll get it right one of these days.
All right, Katie Broughton for the record. 10B is a recommendation to elevate the Nevada Prep financial notice of concern to a financial notice of breach. There is a memo with detailed information. I'm going to give a high-level overview here today. In April 2025, SPCSA staff recommended elevating Nevada Prep's financial notice of concern to a notice of breach for fiscal year 2024. The board decided at that time to postpone action and requested additional financial information and projections for fiscal years 25 and 26. At the time, the school provided that information and SPCSA staff analyzed it for the board in May. The SPCSA board decided to continue the financial notice of concern with heightened monitoring. Since then, staff has done intensive financial monitoring of Nevada Prep. A list of monthly tasks as well as follow-up requests related to information in those monthly submissions is included as attachment 1 of this recommendation memo. And I do want to acknowledge the school and the school's financial staff. It's been a big lift. We've asked for a lot of information. We think it's all really, really important and information that their board should be analyzing on a monthly basis as well. But I do want to acknowledge it's been a big lift. Overall, Nevada Prep's financial position has continued to decline per the projections provided. The school's ending fund balance remains negative and is projected to worsen to approximately negative $754,000 by the end of fiscal year 2026, even though their enrollment has grown from 358 to 460 students. Typically, an increase in enrollment and revenue would strengthen a school's financial position, but in this case, their deficit has continued to deepen. The school's debt has also increased from $942,000, and these are approximate numbers, to $942,000 in June to $1.1 million in August, and staff remain unclear on the full scope of their debt obligations. Cash flow remains a concern as well. Nevada Prep projects its cash balance will drop from $222,000 at the beginning of FY 2026 to $96,000 by year end. The school has taken out short-term bridge loans to meet obligations, and several vendors have reported delayed payments or paused services due to unpaid balances. Nevada Prep also owes NDE approximately $55,000 for an FY 25 true-up, and still owes PERS about $84,000. In addition to these financial concerns, the school continues to struggle with compliance and reporting requirements. Monthly financial reports and budgets have not always been prepared in the fund-based format required by the Nevada Department of Education, and the school's FY 2026 budget includes inaccurate fund balances and assumptions about bond proceeds that have not materialized. Several key items remain outstanding, including reconciliations, finance committee documentations, and detailed debt schedules. And the detailed list of missing items can be found in attachment 1. It also appears that the school has not consistently followed their own board-approved financial policies and internal controls. I will also acknowledge that we did receive some additional items yesterday afternoon, and I do believe we received a list of debt. We have not had time to review it since receiving that, but we do have additional items that have been submitted, but we haven't been able to sort of cross that off with the list of things that we asked for. The school's capital financing plan adds additional uncertainty. Nevada Prep's proposed bond financing remains unresolved, despite the fact that they told this board in the spring that they would have a bond completed by September. And recent reports have not included an updated bond scenario. So in the most recent submission, we received the current lease scenario, not the bond scenario. The approved FY 2026 budget assumes receipt of bond proceeds, but these funds have not been secured, raising questions about the accuracy of the financial projections and whether or not the school is operating under their own approved financial budget. Given these ongoing issues, SPCSA staff recommend elevating Nevada Prep Charter School to a financial notice of breach while maintaining heightened monitoring. This would require continued monthly budget to actual reporting, submission of updated budgets, evidence of timely PERS payments, and access to all requested financial records. Staff does want to acknowledge the current leadership's effort to stabilize operations and address past mismanagement. We do want to acknowledge that that's the reality of this situation. And also, the financial indicators, debt obligations, and compliance gaps demonstrate the school is not meeting standards of financial performance framework requirements. Elevating Nevada Prep to a notice of breach formalizes these concerns and ensures that structured oversight remains in place, which will protect both students and public funds. There's a proposed motion found at the end of the recommendation memo, and I am available to answer any questions should you have any.
Thank you, Dr. Broughton. Okay, bring it back to the board. Do we have any questions either for staff or from leaders of the school? I see Vice Chair Whitaker, your hand is raised. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had a question for Dr. Broughton. Dr. Broughton, with the most recent received documentation from Nevada Prep, do you believe that that would change staff's recommendation based off of today's memo?
No, I do not.
Thank you.
Chair Thigpen, for the record, a follow-up question based on that. Dr. Broughton, does that include the changes to the enrollment number?
So the projections provided by the school do include an enrollment of 460 students. Per the most recent ADE reporting from NDE, it looks like the school indicated they are at there's some discrepancy between 460, but they're right around 463. So the projections that they provided are at the student enrollment of 460. And so these are the figures that came out of the projections with an enrollment of 460 students.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions from board colleagues, either in the boardroom or online? Okay. Oh, sorry, Member Stern. It is so bright. Go ahead.
I am so sorry. Does it help if I'm raising my hand to see it? Member
Yes,
Stern.
that would help. Thank you.
Member Stern, for the record. So just a point of clarification. I know we have everything in front, but just on the record, we're looking to elevate this to a notice of breach. Are any of the monitoring elements that we are looking to include in this an increase, or are we continuing that same monitoring with the hopes of seeing improvement in acknowledging that this situation is continuing to deteriorate?
Katie Broughton, for the record, the motion, the monitoring portion of the motion today is the same as the motion that we did in May. So the monitoring would stay the same. We do think it's really important to continue this monitoring. These are financial indicators and data points that we think are really critical for us to know about and for the school to know about as they're working through some of these turnaround efforts.
Member Stern, for the record, thank you. Are there any other, and I assume they would have been included, but it is a curiosity, if there's any additional monitoring that might be beneficial given the trends we're seeing to, I know our goal is always to see our schools succeed. Is there anything else that might be worth discussion or consideration and including in this as a monitoring tool? To give us a more complete picture or to provide opportunity for the school to show what they believe might be growth?
Katie Broughton, for the record, I don't think so. I think the motion is written in a broad enough way that we can really request any accounting and financial records. And of course, the school can submit anything to us that they believe would be helpful in our, in sort of making their financial data or indicators more clear.
Member Stern, for the record, again, I appreciate that. I just wanted to clarify that this is really just seeking to gain information. If we were to do this, this would allow the school to submit whatever information they felt would be beneficial so that the board did have a complete picture. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Stern. Any other questions for staff or from leaders of the school from board colleagues? Board colleagues. Okay, seeing none, we do have a proposed motion that staff has provided. Oh, go ahead, Member Shante Rosales.
I can make that motion. We're ready. The proposed motion is to approve the recommendation of the SPCSA staff as stated herein to the issue a notice of concern regarding the organizational performance of Nevada Prep Charter School for the 2024-2025 school year.
That's the wrong motion.
I take that back, y'all. That is the wrong motion. One moment.
10B.
I was reading. So, motion 10B.
So no questions from board colleagues for the school, so that's why I haven't called on you. Just making it clear, we're not addressing anything unless there's questions and deliberation.
Okay, we have the correct motion. The motion is to elevate Nevada Prep Charter School under the financial performance framework to a notice of breach. As part of this notice of breach, the school will be required to continue to participate in heightened monitoring directed by SPCSA staff, including but not limited to submitting and amending budgets, submitting of monthly budget to actual reporting, providing monthly evidence of payments to PERS, and provide ongoing access to accounting and financial records as requested by SPCSA staff as part of the heightened financial monitoring. Failure to provide requested documentation by the deadline set by SPCSA staff or failure to respond to SPCSA inquiries within 3 business days will result in a subsequent appearance before the board and possible escalation to a notice of intent to revoke under the financial performance framework.
Thank you, Member Shante Rosales. Do I have a second?
Member
Board
Whitaker.
Member Aldaba, second. Oh,
Member Aldaba beat you to it, Vice Chair. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving along, let's see. We have agenda item number 11, Sage Collegiate Public Charter School Performance Framework Recommendations. Is this to Danny or Dr. Broughton? Go ahead, Danny.
Thank you, Chair Thigpen. Danny Peltz here for the record. Agenda item 11A is the SPCSA's recommendation to issue Sage Collegiate a notice of concern under the 24-25 Organizational Performance Framework. Sage Collegiate was rated as does not meet standard in governance, education personnel, language and culture, special education, health and safety, and operations, and was therefore rated as out of compliance on the 24-25 Organizational Performance Framework. I'll go over each of those categories and subcategories in which Sage Collegiate was rated as does not meet standard. Sage Collegiate was rated as does not meet standard in the governance section due to numerous instances of failing to submit critical governance documents. The school failed to submit agendas and approve minutes to the SPCSA pursuant to NRS 241 and NAC 388A.525.10. The school failed to provide evidence of completing mandatory open meeting law training as required by the SPCSA board at its October 4th, 2024 board meeting. The school failed to confirm completion of fingerprinting and background checks for all board members pursuant to NRS 388A.323. Additionally, it did not submit the board member disclosure forms within 10 days of appointment, nor on an annual basis as required by NRS 388A.320. The school also failed to provide evidence of a public hearing regarding the 23-24 star rating pursuant to NRS 388A.367. The The school failed to provide evidence of a public meeting regarding the 23-24 OPF ratings as required by our board at the October 4th, 2024 board meeting. Additionally, Sage Collegiate was found to have violated open meeting law by the Attorney General's Office in AG file 13897-515. The AG's office found that Sage Collegiate did not provide meeting agendas, minutes, and recordings per public requests. The AG's office found that Sage Collegiate gave improper notice of its meeting location and how to attend remotely, and Sage Collegiate improperly restricted public comment as required in NRS Chapter 241. In the education personnel subcategory, Sage Collegiate was rated as does not meet standard due to delinquency of PERS payments during the 24-25 school year and failure to submit the organizational performance self-certification form confirming compliance regarding maintenance of personnel records. In the language and culture subcategory, Sage Collegiate failed to submit the organizational performance self-certification form confirming ELL services providers hold ELAD endorsement pursuant to NRS 388A.518 and failed to confirm accurate screenings, identifications, and services were provided to EL students. In the special education subcategory, Sage Collegiate was found to does not meet standard due to the failure to submit the Special Education Policies and Procedures Manual. Additionally, Sage Collegiate failed to submit the organizational self-certification form confirming special education services providers held proper licensure pursuant to NRS 388A.518, and that evaluations and current signed IEPs are on file, or that the school conducted required disability screenings within required deadlines. In the health and safety category, Sage Collegiate was rated as does not meet standard due to failure to submit the OPF self-certification form confirming the school is current on inspections for the elevator and the kitchen. Additionally, during the SPCSA site evaluation, Sage Collegiate was unable to provide evidence that the school was current on those inspections. In the operations category, which measures the timeliness, Sage Collegiate submitted just 28% of tasks on time. In addition to late submissions that were submitted, Sage Collegiate failed to submit numerous critical documents during the 24-25 school year. Some of those documents included, but were not limited to, the academic calendar minute audit per NDE, the board policies and procedures manual, validation day federal count of students with disabilities, and numerous other special education reports, and the annual website certification. Sage Collegiate was also found to be severely late in submissions, including but not limited to the parent and student handbook, 19 days late, confirmation of insurance, 105 days late, student lottery application, policy, and lottery date, 71 days late, NRS 388A.367 parent notification of low performance, 79 days late, and the employee information for all staff, 62 days late. As such, SPCSA staff found Sage Collegiate to be out of compliance due to evidence of weak organizational performance through ongoing oversight and repeated material failure to submit items in a timely and/or complete manner. SPCSA staff provided Sage Collegiate with preliminary findings on September 10th and provided the opportunity to all schools to provide additional information to cure items by providing additional information and/or evidence. Sage Collegiate did not provide additional information to SPCSA staff during the cure period, and SPCSA recommends an issuance of notice of concern. A proposed motion can be found on page 3 of the recommendation memo.
Thank you, Mr. Peltier. So this is for, as a reminder for my colleagues, agenda item 11A. Bringing it back to the board. Any questions from board colleagues in the boardroom? Seeing none. Any questions from board colleagues online? Member Stern, I can see you now.
Member Stern, for the record. Just a point of clarification, Danny, because this is a lengthy list of things that haven't been submitted. I know you clarified in our last agenda item that when we're saying they're not submitted, it means they haven't been submitted. And I'm assuming the same documents would need to be submitted for this year. So is the school now in a position where we still need these documents for last year and would also need them moving forward for this year, that these are our annual documents? Just trying to clarify, is this more forward looking to make sure that we get the documents, or are we still in need of these documents as well, or is it serving both purposes?
Danny Peltz here for the record. So that's one of the great questions, right? So for some of these documents, we as the authority will basically go in and put fail to submit, and start over for the 25-26 school year, right? So for example, the organizational performance self-certification form, that is a document that we require that has schools certify the various things that we cannot get evidence of via Epicenter. And so because that has not been submitted this year, and I believe Sage may not have submitted it last year, we're hoping that with the issuance of this notice and looking ahead, we can start getting these documents. We want schools to focus on submitting documentation for the current school year. Now I don't want to speak on behalf of other teams across the SPCSA, whether that be school support or finance and operations. Some of the reports that may have been failed to submit under those teams may still need to be submitted because of federal dollars or grants. And so even though we're in a new school year, those may still be outstanding and they may be requested by our other teams in the agency. But overall, we do encourage schools to catch up and to focus on the current school year so as to bring themselves into compliance as they're being measured under the 25-26 organizational performance framework.
Member Stern, for the record, I appreciate that. I'm wondering, as I'm looking at this extensive list, if there's a way to communicate and clarify to schools in a timely manner what of the out of compliance documents and reports we would still need so that we don't wind up with schools playing catch up unnecessarily on things and then finding themselves out of compliance because they're overwhelmed by, and granted, acknowledging that the paperwork should have been in, but I'm wondering if there's a way that we could clarify that so that we are setting our schools up to be able to understand when to focus on this year, when to focus on the others. Is there a way that we could clarify that and perhaps include that in the motion?
Danny Peltz here for the record. So I don't believe we could include it in the motion because I would need some time to go through and confirm with other teams here. But I would say that we would be happy to kind of itemize a list of documents that do need to be submitted and those that maybe we can kind of chalk up as failed to submit and kind of starting with a clean slate, right? I would say. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Danny.
Executive Director McAdams.
Just to sort of add on to what you're saying, Member Stern, we literally just had this conversation in leadership that each team, because each team has tasks in Epicenter, right? So the grants management team, the fiscal team, the school support team on the programmatic side, they all have tasks. And so we did just prioritize or just discuss in leadership that each team is going to go into Epicenter. And if its task is marked failed to submit, it's failed to submit. You didn't submit it, there's nothing it's too late now, essentially. Versus some of these documents that we do still need you to submit, right? Some of these things are tied to like federal funding. And so if one charter school doesn't submit something that's required for federal funding, it affects everyone, right? If we have an audit and we have schools out of compliance, it affects the whole portfolio, because we're considered one LEA. So yes, I don't think we can move it into the motion specifically, but just to put on the record that we literally just had this conversation in leadership, and each team has been tasked with going into Epicenter and indicating which things are failed to submit and schools can sort of, forget about, and versus what things are still outstanding and need to be submitted, even if they're, for last year. Does that make sense?
Membership, for the record, yes, I really just wanted that clarification that this is not asking schools to duplicate 2 years worth of work if they were out, and to make sure that we are making sure that whatever we're asking for is something that's still required, beneficial, and then allowing to move forward with the acknowledgement that these should have been turned in and we're not asking for documents unnecessarily, but that we are able to move forward without everything for last year. So thank you. Appreciate the clarification.
Thank you, Member Stern. Any other questions from board colleagues, either online or in the boardroom? Okay, seeing none, we do have a motion again provided by staff. This is the motion under 11A. So I'm looking for a motion.
Vice Chair Whitaker will motion to issue a notice of breach under the financial performance framework to Sage Collegiate Public Charter.
Oh, wrong motion. Wrong motion.
Oh.
11A.
Sorry about that. Okay, let's try this again. Vice Chair Whitaker, for the record, I propose to approve the recommendation of the SPCSA staff as stated herein to issue a notice of concern regarding the organizational performance of Sage Collegiate Public Charter School for the 2024-2025 school year.
Do I have a second?
Member Stern, I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. We'll open up 11B, and I will let whomever's taking that start.
Katie Broughton, for the record, 11B is staff's recommendation to elevate Sage Collegiate's financial notice of concern to a financial notice of breach. Again, there's specifics in the memo attached. I'm going to give some kind of high-level remarks right now. In April 2025, SPCSA staff recommended elevating Sage Collegiate's financial notice of concern to a notice of breach for FY 2024. The board decided at that time to postpone action and requested additional financial information and projections for fiscal years 2025 and 2026. The school provided that information and SPCSA staff analyzed it for the board meeting in May. The SPCSA board decided to continue the financial notice of concern with heightened monitoring. Since then, staff has done intensive financial monitoring of Sage Collegiate. A list of monthly tasks as well as follow-up requests related to information in these monthly submissions is included as attachment 1 of the recommendation memo. And similar to what I said in the previous item, I do want to acknowledge the school staff and their financial team for the heavy lift that this monitoring has placed. It is a lot of work, and we do acknowledge that. Sage Collegiate is facing several significant challenges that impact its financial stability and long-term viability. The school's financial position is precarious. Their ending fund balance is projected to decline sharply, and nearly all available cash is expected to be depleted by the end of this fiscal year. This will severely limit the school's ability to respond to unexpected expenses or maintain adequate reserves for operational needs. Second, the school carries substantial debt and lease obligations, which consume a significant portion of their revenue. These obligations, combined with their declining enrollment, constrain Sage Collegiate's ability to allocate sufficient resources to support students and education programs. Third, the school's enrollment has consistently fallen short of projections. This year, Sage Collegiate's board adopted a budget for 375 students, and as of September 11th, 2025, the school's projections include an enrollment of just 276 students. Lower enrollment, and that's about 100 students lower, directly reduces the revenue available to support operations and instructional programs, placing additional strain on an already limited budget. It also remains unclear whether or not the school is operating under their own approved final budget, given the large discrepancy in enrollment. Finally, there is some concern regarding governance and oversight. Despite receiving monthly financial reports that clearly illustrate these challenges, SPCSA staff has received no evidence that the board or school leadership has implemented a strategic plan to address the declining enrollment and improve the financial position. This lack of action places the school's long-term stability at risk. Elevating Sage Collegiate to a notice of breach formalizes these concerns and ensures that structured oversight remains in place to protect both students and public funds. And I know there's a lot of recommendation memos tied to this item, but there is a proposed recommendation found at the end of the first memo under 11B.
Thank you, Dr. Broughton. Bring it back to the board. Any?
Chair Thigpen, I do believe, just so you are
go ahead.
aware, because I don't know if it's hard to tell in the Zoom environment, but I do believe that there is members of the school online if board members have questions for the school.
Thank you, Director McKinnon. I've been operating with that assumption as well. So, but I appreciate you reminding board colleagues too. Very important. Okay, bringing it back to the board. Any questions either for staff or school leaders? Any online? Okay, seeing none, there is a motion provided by staff on 11B. I will entertain a motion.
Member Holmes-Sutton, I would make the motion to elevate Sage Collegiate Public's charter school under the financial performance framework to a notice of breach. As part of this notice of breach, the school will be required to continue to participate in heightened monitoring directed by SPCSA staff, including but not limited to submitting and amending budgets, submitting of monthly budget to actual reporting, providing monthly evidence of payment to PERS, and provide ongoing access to accounting and financial records as requested by SPCSA staff as part of the heightened financial monitoring. Failure to provide requested documentation by the deadline set by SPCSA staff, or failure to respond to SPCSA inquiries within 3 business days will result in a subsequent appearance before the board and a possible escalation to a notice of intent to revoke under the financial performance framework. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Holmes-Sutton. Do I have a second?
Member Richards, I'll second.
Thank you, Member Richards. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving on to agenda item number 12, the long-range calendar and proposed meeting dates. Director McKinnon.
All right, this one usually goes pretty fast. Just a reminder that if there is something you would like to see on the agenda, you can raise it now. You can email Chair Thigpen, and we will work to get it on the agenda. And most importantly, we know holidays are coming up, all those sorts of things. If you're not going to be able to attend a meeting, please let us know so that we can always ensure that we have quorum. And with that, I'm done unless you have additional questions.
Thank you, Director McKinnon. I'll make a quick comment on, since this is related to meeting dates and things like that. If we, I want to encourage our board colleagues to RSVP to the school visits that happen before these meetings. I unfortunately missed Legacy's school visit yesterday due to some delays in transit. But I know that your staff has been sending those invites out. And so I just want to encourage board colleagues, if you can go, be sure to firmly RSVP.
Yeah, and I would just say, first of all, we recognize that you are a volunteer board and that these are totally voluntary on Thursdays. But if you can please not accept them if you actually can't go. We totally understand and we get it, but we don't want to put the schools in a spot where they're expecting 2 or 3 or 4 people to come and then they don't have anyone, because that just is, you know, they've planned around that. So please only accept those if you are 100% sure that you are going to be able to attend. Thanks for the reminder, Kirk.
Any other questions or comments from board colleagues on the long-range calendar and proposed meeting dates? Okay, we will close out agenda item number 12, and then we'll go into the final period of public comment. And I've received a couple cards here from folks who I believe may not have been here for the first period, which is typically for items on the agenda. This second period is typically for items not on the agenda. However, I am going to allow it today. So when I call your name, you'll come up to the table, press the button. When it lights up green like this, you know you're live. Be sure to clearly state your name at the start of your public comment for the record. Okay, I may have gotten these mixed up on who was first. I apologize in advance. And if I get your name wrong, I apologize for that. I have a Mr. Mark Gardberg. Okay, I'm glad I got it right. Thank you. Yes.
Good morning, Mark Gardberg. I work with over 20 schools, including Nevada Prep. We did have a presentation that I wanted to share with you. I'm really disappointed that we didn't have an opportunity to be heard, primarily because we had some incredibly great news to share with you. We performed as asked in terms of all of the extensive requirements from staff, that heavy lift that Ms. Broughton was talking about. But I can confirm to you, there's been no deterioration at all in this school's financial info. And so we were disappointed to read the memo and believe that a lot of it was inaccurate. The analogy that I would offer to you as to what's happened today, we are watching the Golden Knights or the Aces win a championship, and there are complaints that the parade is too loud. Okay? The financial performance of this school is stellar. And in part, one of the key, what's Charter School 101? The key determination for charter school financial health is what? It's enrollment. The school's enrollment has more than doubled since Mr. Handel took over. And just from May to August, it increased by 83 kids. Now, this was the conundrum, the crux of what was in that memo. When you grow by 83 kids, what do you have to do? You have to buy Chromebooks, textbooks, get lunches and breakfasts for our Title I school kids, which is all of them. But what you don't have is more PCFP funding. That starts November 1st, and we were offered no CSP funds or anything else to bridge that gap. What is that going to look like if you've got 83 more kids, but no money? The first 3 months of the school, you're going to look poorer. But what's going to happen on November 1st? We're going to get $120,000 more per month to take care of the backlog. Meanwhile, what else is happening on November 1st? The PERS liability that was $510,000 2 years ago, the last payment will be made. That saved this authority $510,000 because if we didn't pay for it, you were going to. So that's finished. We're also going to, one of the other things I want to talk about was the bond deal. And so there was mention about the bond deal. It's postponed, not terminated. Why? Because it turned out we're in a renewal year. So long story short, this school is in a very strong position, and Mr. Weeks will talk more about that. But we're going to come back in a month's time and ask you to revoke this notice of breach, because with it, that bond deal is dead. But no matter what, we're here. We're taking care of these Title I kids. We're doing a fantastic job for you, the board, and for our families, many of whom you heard from today. And we will get it done if you just be patient with us and listen to our presentations, which we will present in writing. You will understand that we are strong and doing great things, and you can be proud of us.
Thank you, Mr. Gardberg. And that's time, so you did that perfectly. We look forward to getting that information, and I sincerely hope to see things turn around, and then whether that's in a month's time or as soon as possible. So I appreciate it. All right, let's see. I've got another one here. I think you even alluded to this, Mr. Brian Weeks.
Good morning, board. My name is Brian Weeks. For the record, I am a financial consultant with Nevada Prep. I just want to address, kind of piggybacking off of what Mr. Gardberg said, some of the data points that were mentioned. The fund balance. The fund balance, it's important to understand, is an accumulation of gains and losses of the school since its inception. The school started fiscal year 25 based off its last audit of a negative fund balance of $850,000 roughly. That is improving, although incrementally. And it's incremental because the school is burdened with the past debts of the prior administrations. It's going to take time, and I mentioned this in the May presentation that we gave. It's going to take time for that to improve. And it's not going to improve until the school can pay off all of its old debts. Current AP, it's roughly about 400,000 that we still have to pay off, in addition to what Mr. Gardberg mentioned with PERS being paid off of roughly $500,000. And so we are continuing that road. The debt structure is improving. We are paying off vendors. We are paying off old debts. With the PERS being paid off, we're going to be freeing up about $21,000 in additional cash to continue to aggressively pay down these debts. And as Mr. Gardberg said, we are in the worst time crunch in a growth situation to take a snapshot of the school. We call it working capital. We have an extreme amount of working capital debt because of the timing of receiving the additional funds for these students and being able to pay off debt. So we are in this time frame, and right after this, once we get, and by the way, we still have the audit coming in a couple of weeks, which we believe is going to confirm this improvement that we're referring to. But once we get the per pupil funding we need, once we get everything through, our debts are going to come down. The working capital debts are going to come down. And in addition, there's a roughly $300,000 current liability on the balance sheet, which we discussed with staff for salaries. And what that is it's timing. As you guys know, our calendar years are not linked with contract years for teachers. So we keep that liability that the school has on the balance sheet, and that's roughly $300,000. And that's a different way from the previous team that was doing it. We feel it's more conservative to have this liability on the balance sheet month to month because it is an obligation of the school. Had we known that these things were going to be used against us, we would have readjusted that. We think it's important that this board understands that these workout situations take time. Our cash balance is not improving because we're aggressively paying off debts. We think it's in the best interest of the school and the state and the vendors, the stakeholders, if you would, that we pay off debts.
That's time, Mr. Weeks. I'm
Thank
sorry
you.
to interrupt you. Please submit the rest of that information to the board in writing. We'd love to see that information. Okay. I don't have any other cards. Is there any other that were provided, Teresa? Okay. Any public comment online?
Thank you, Chair. To provide public comment, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good morning. This is Ignacio Prado at Futura Academy Charter School. Again, appreciate your time today. I just want to raise a couple items. One, I would suggest you do complete a survey of schools to gather some feedback, again, regarding some of the representations about the compliance. Some of it is just the volume issue and difficulty between single-site schools and maybe schools that have larger footprints and infrastructure and so on and so forth, just to understand what the impact of the drift and the changes are. And then just to raise a couple of points here, for example, in our school's own rating, there are several items that are marked less than 1 day late. That means there's an automated lateness associated with it on Epicenter. It means it may have been submitted in the evening or early in the morning, the business day after. And so those are all being treated the same as if something's 200 days late, and not a lot of situational grace being provided in those scenarios. And so just filtering out the less than 1 day late would have changed our indicator, for example. Or I have found examples of Epicenter tasks, and I'm looking at one right now where it says our submission was on July 20th, but it was approved on July 26th. And then there's a rejection on July 18th, which means the original submission date was somehow deleted, and the item is showing as though it was only submitted past a certain date. And so some representations about whether percentages have been calculated correctly for items that needed corrections are doubtful. In my initial response to staff, they provided me 1%, and then when I said I don't think that's right, within hours I received a higher percentage, which means they had to go back and look and recalculate it. And so I just have concerns moving forward around both the volume, but also some of the methodology in terms of what the ratings are, and some representation that somehow this is being done in every case when it's not. And I do believe if you survey school leaders, you're going to surface other examples. And so I would suggest you do that at some point in the future. I think it's a best practice anyways. And so we do so as an organization with our families. And I think I should be getting surveys from the SPCSA's board on the SPCSA's performance, direction, so on and so forth. Thank you again for your time, and I appreciate your consideration of my suggestions.
Chair, there are no additional callers at this time.
Thank you very much. That closes out agenda item number 13, and that leads us into 14, adjournment for the weekend. Thank you all for being here, for your commitment, and I'll see you all again next month.